On this episode of Arguing Art, we are going to be discussing unity, and that has nothing to do with marriage. So, unity. What is the principle of unity in art? As I said, it is not marriage as in civil union.
No, but it is a marriage of elements. I thought of that just now when you said it. Basically, this is, I think, an easy one to explain.
Okay.
But more of a difficult one to grasp.
Okay.
Okay, it's kind of going back to the harmony thing. Do all the pieces or all the elements of a piece feel unified?
Okay.
Which doesn't really work because I defined unity with unified.
Unity.
So, okay, another way to describe it is, do they all feel like they're going in the same direction?
Okay.
And I mean that in a compositional message sort of sense, not like, are all the arrows pointing in the same way?
Or everyone piling into the same car.
Yeah. Is it a painting of a clown car? No. Does it feel like it's working towards the same thing?
Okay.
I think a good example of unity would be, if you're, I can't think of any paintings necessarily, but if you're doing, say, a piece on war, right?
Okay.
And the atrocities of war, and you've got, a dead guy over here, and a baby on a spike over here, and, someone burning on a pile over here, and then over here you've got a triumphant soldier.
Okay.
Well, that triumphant soldier doesn't really speak to the atrocities of war.
Okay.
That's more of a making war sound good sort of thing.
Okay.
So that piece isn't unified with everything else because that message part gets kind of lost.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. Might be a stronger contrast if instead of a triumphant soldier, it was a clown.
Yeah.
Where the elements... Is it thematic based?
It can be thematic based. It can be... I think ultimately it does boil down to that, but I could definitely see arguments as far as compositionally based.
Okay.
I guess it would be something like blue circle, blue circle, blue circle, blue circle, and then a bunch of red squares.
Okay.
Because they would have a different... But that kind of gets to... They would have a different feeling.
Okay.
It's kind of an elusive concept to grasp. Honestly, if you're at a party or at a gallery and you say, oh, I don't like this piece because it doesn't feel unified, I bet you most people won't question you. So just bust it out.
I think you're right, yeah.
You can just bust it out and say it. That's the thing, though. The best way to think of it is, does every piece of that painting or do, a large number of those elements in that piece, does that feel like it's pushing towards the same goal?
Same goal.
Yep.
Okay. And is that like a goal of feeling or message or...
Yeah. I would say like feeling or... Yeah. Well,
Okay.
to me, feeling and message is the same thing.
Okay.
Because...
I might have to disagree with you.
Really?
Another... Yeah.
I would say ultimately, and we won't get into it too much, but I think it might be important to point out here is that, as an artist, you're trying to get a concept across, and usually that concept is your message, right? The message of the piece. But more often than not, I'd say that is a feeling.
Okay.
You're trying to get the idea of the atrocities of war. To me, that invokes a feeling.
Sure. I can see that it could be a feeling, but I could see a message and a feeling being separate. The message could evoke the feeling, but there doesn't necessarily have to be a feeling within the message of the painting.
See, this is where that universal subjectivist thing comes into play.
Sure.
Because, this is going to get way off topic as far as this goes. Maybe we should hold on to this for its own podcast.
Mm-hmm.
This is, no, I'm picking up what you're saying. This could be a good topic.
Okay.
Anyway.
So, back onto Unity.
Okay, well, I think an example there is all of our discussion on Unity so far, and then that discussion on the feeling. I mean, that's not
Feeling
unified.
versus message.
Yeah, that's not unified because they're not working towards the same goal.
Okay.
Again,
I think that's a great description.
Yeah.
Unity is the elements of the work working toward the same goal.
That's the thing I would go with. If you have any questions as far as how you want me to clarify that, that might be the best way to tackle Unity. Like I said, that's how you describe it. I mean, that's if you look it up, that's pretty much what they're going to say. It's just it can be a difficult concept to grasp. The thing I would really recommend is to go out and look at art. Once you start really looking at art and thinking about the unity of a piece, that'll start to come into play more, and you'll start to recognize, yes, this feels unified. No, this doesn't feel unified. I guess, if it feels discordant to you, or if it feels kind of jilted or broken, probably a good indicator that it's not unified.
Good way to sound smart at parties.
And a great way to sound smart at parties. I wonder how many people have art come up at parties.
Probably not as many as should.
Not as many as should, but actually no, movies. If you count movies and music as art,
That does happen a lot.
it does happen a lot. And then you can talk about, no, that movie didn't feel unified. And people go, what you talking about, Willis?
Yeah, or like when you told me that new Hannah Montana track was the bomb, and I
yes.
said, the unity is just not there for me. I mean, she's pop princess singing about
Yeah.
Jay-Z, and
Apparently she doesn't listen to Jay-Z.
I've heard that too.
I heard that in an interview. Well, thanks for joining us on Arguing Art. Go to the website if you're not on the website right now. There's a great place to leave comments. You can reach both Adam and myself. That's where the real meat of the discussion is. This is discussion based, so leave comments. We want to hear from you guys.